Alright, so I did this earlier as a study group, but the file got corrupted. So I'm going to do it again with just this recorded video. So we're going to go over Active Record and storage specifically for Devise, as well as setting up Amazon Cloud Services. You can do this with Google Cloud Services, you can do this with just anyone that has like a cloud service like that, but we're going to set up specifically for Amazon. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get in here and we're going to create a new project to get this started on. So I keep all my projects in my LearnCo projects folder, and we're going to do Rails new, and we're going to call this storage study. We'll just call it storage study. For this little thing, we don't need any tests, and I'm going to set up on Postgres. Okay, so excuse me. So what we're seeing here is we're starting up a new Rails app. We're calling it storage study. The dash capital T is taking away any testing, so all those test files you see when you start up a Rails app won't be there. And the dash D declares that you want to set up your own database other than the one that's included, the MySQL, and then you name the database, so Postgres SQL for this one. So we're going to do that. Let this do its thing. Okay. Now it's still doing its thing. This does take a minute. Cool. So now we're done. Alright, so let's CD into that. Let's bring that up. Alright, cool, so we're into it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and set up the database. Because if you don't use MySQL, you actually have to create your database. So I'm going to do Rails db create. Cool. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do now is get ready for setting up Devise. We're going to use Devise to set up our user model and everything, just to have that. So these are the gems you'll need: Devise, Apricot, and Review Parser. Get those in your files. Install that. Cool. And if you ever want to like verify things and you're not sure, I don't think it's saved. Hang on. Let's try that again. There we go. So I'm saying if you're ever not sure and this is, a mess to try to look through all of this and try to find the one gem you just added to make sure it was done, you can actually run bundle list and it will redo the list in alphabetical order. So it makes it a little bit easier to find. So you can find Devise right there. Alright, so now we got to install Devise. We're going to Rails G Devise install. Cool, that's installed. So let's generate a model. I'm just going to call it user. Boom. So what that did is that created your user model. Right? It created where is it? There it is. Database. You create your schema for that. So we gotta migrate that. So, excuse me. And there we have it. So we got Devise set up. You can always test Devise as soon as it's set up. Seeding into boom. Yeah, we're on Rails. Alright, so now we're going to generate some views because we're going to need those here in just a moment. So we'll just go ahead and generate them now. Cool. So we've got our Devise views. We're going to need those here in just a moment. Alright, so to get started, you need to be able to send stuff to the cloud, so you have to have a cloud to start with, right? So you'll go to aws.amazon.com, go ahead and sign in, or register if you haven't already, and you're going to look for S3. You can either find it if you already have it here, or you can search for it. Just type in S3 and it'll bring it up. Amazon storage is super cheap, super easy to set up. Like, it's free basically for a lot of data, and then even if you go over, it's only like 5 cents a month, so don't worry about setting one up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a bucket. We'll give it a bucket name. We'll say storage study. So we got US East Ohio. You can just copy settings from a bucket I already have, but you don't have to do that. You can pretty much just leave everything here alone. If you're doing versioning with your app, you'll want to do this, but otherwise you can just leave that all there. leave this here. So you've got all that. Should look like this. Create your bucket. There it is, storage study bucket. Cool. Your properties. You can look at anything you want to in here. Alright, so now you're going to create a user. So you're going to go to IM. Again, if you don't have this in your history, you can search for it. So we're going to add a user. We're going to call this user study user. So you want to click on programmatic access. This enables you to be able to use your access key ID and a secret access key to access the API versus having users have to actually sign in every time that they use the service. Cool. I'm going to add users to a group, to this one, but just to show you, so this is what you need. So you can get that from here. You click on here, you search for Amazon S3 full access. You can just get that there. These are tags that are super optional. Don't worry about them too much. Boom. Create user. Awesome. So the user has an access key and a secret key. So you want to hold on to these for now. I'm just going to put them in the README since I'm not committing this anywhere. You probably don't want to do it this way, but we're going to grab this. And click show, right, and it gives you all that, so you can copy that. Cool. So that's it all set up, so we're going to get the rest of our app set up to use everything. So the first thing you have to do is install Active Storage. You'll install it in a very similar way that you installed Devise. So you're going to go to Rails Active Storage Install. Cool. Alright, so what that did is it created this migration table. So what's going on here is as you a user uploads a photo. Let's go with case. So a user uploads a photo. This is how Active Storage knows that photo belongs to that user. So it's kind of works like a join table. And that it'll attach your user ID into this, so they're all know whose is whose. And it's just like any other table, so you're going to have to run Rails db migrate. Cool. Alright. So, if you look in your schema, it's all in there. There you go. Cool. So the next thing you're going to need to go is up in your config folder here. Go to your storage YAML right there, and if you look, Amazon's already in there. So you can just uncomment that. Alright, so you all see that Google's in here and Microsoft is in there. So you can pick who you want. It all works out about the same way as far as like setting it up goes. But so we're going to set up this. This is something that a lot of people haven't messed with yet, this new Rails credentials thing. So I'm going to show you guys how to edit that. So what Rails.application.credentials is referring to is this credentials YAML right here. And as you can see, it's just this really long string, hexadecimal string, just really long. Do not edit this file. Do not put anything in this file. Just don't mess with it. To edit the file properly, you have to go into your command line, and in all caps you're going to type editor equals, and in quotes you're going to put the name of your editor. So I have Adam. You're going to do wait. So what you're doing right here is you're telling your editor to open the Rails credentials, but wait before you do anything. Don't save it, don't update anything, just wait on you, the user, to do something with it. If you don't put that in, it will open it and just close it, and it won't let you do anything. There we go. So what we get is a different credentials file. And as you can see, it's already pre-set up for Amazon. Alright, so what you're going to need to do there is grab your key, your ID. We're going to put that here, like so. And we're going to grab the secret. We're going to put that here like this. And you put all of your credentials in here. So if you're using multiple cloud storages, or if you're using OAuth or anything where you put credentials, you would just do it in a repeat of this syntax. So like a group name, AWS, with their access key. So you could do like Facebook, like that, and then do like the access key, here, and so on. This file can be a little picky about syntax, so make sure you're just repeating this syntax if you add other things to it. Alright, so now save the file, but this will not take effect until you actually close it. So if you watch down here at the bottom of my terminal, when I close it, it'll say file encrypted and saved. So that's the only time. So if you put something in there and it's saying that it can't find it, maybe go check to make sure that you actually close that file. You can also verify what you put in there without having to open up the whole editor again by doing Rails credentials show. And it gives you everything you've got in there. And that's all you have to do, because it was already set up with this. Make sure that you're using, if you do it that way, make sure that you're keeping all this the same. If you change the name of this, so if you decided you just wanted to call it Access ID in your credentials, make sure you change it here. This and your credentials have to match. So what this is doing is it's saying Rails application credentials, dig through that hash, look for the group AWS, and in that group grab the access key ID. Pretty simple. So I usually have a problem with using US East 1, so I'm going to change that to US East 2. You might get an error on that later, but we'll see. You can look here. users. Like this is the user I had before. Here's the dashboard. If you need to create a new key, you can create an access key right here to get a different key. Okay, so you also got to make sure you've got your bucket set up here. So that would be the bucket name that you used. So if you forget what it is, you can just always go back into S3. You got your bucket. Storage study was what I named that bucket. So cool, we'll change this to storage study. Alright, so the next thing you need to do is require the Google gem, or the Amazon gem, I'm sorry. Google will have their own, Microsoft will have their own, but for Google, it's AWS SDK -S3. Right, so we're going to install that. We'll go ahead and bundle install. Cool. So now to get the pictures to actually work. So you don't have to add a column to your user table. It's not anything you have to do there. All you have to do is go to your model, and this will work with anything that you've got. So if you've got a blog that has you want users to be able to upload a photo attached to that blog, you can do the same thing in the blog model. You can do it in multiple models. But the syntax for it is going to be has one attached and this is where you'll name what you want to name it. So it's kind of like naming your column. So you want to name it photo or image or avatar or profile photo or anything you want. We're going to go with avatar. Right. So now if you've used Devise, you'll know that you'll be able to go to user sign up. You'll be able to sign up. But how are we going to get anyone to be able to upload a photo? So that's what we'll do next. Alright, but before we do that, I can already tell you in advance, you're going to run into an issue with params. So treat this as you would a column in your table, as far as like adding params or strong params. So you've got to add avatar, you've got to add permissions. The problem that you have though when you're using Devise is normally what you do is say like in your user controller, you would go to the bottom where you've set up your params and you would just add that to the permit list. But Devise, you don't have access to that controller unless you've generated them, and it's generally not a good idea in most cases to even mess with that directly. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your controllers, and we just need to override it. So we're going to create a new file called registrations controller. Cool. Class. I can spell. I'm going to inherit that from Devise registrations controller. Alright, so I'm going to just copy and paste this over from my notes, but we'll go over it. Alright, so just like in your normal strong params, except you're going to define two different sets. You're going to define a sign-up params and an account update param. So this is what Devise comes with: email, password, password confirmation. So if you add a user name or a user first name, last name column or anything like that, you'll need to add that to this. This will inherit from Devise and override Devise's sign-up params. So just like anything else, so we got to add avatar to both. Like that. And I'll take care of those strong params. Okay. Now we've also got to make sure that our app is using Amazon. So you're going to do that from environments, and you go to development. And this is what you're looking for: config active storage service equals local. You just want to change that to Amazon or Google or whatever it is you're using. Same thing for your production. It's going to go, there it is, config active storage dot services. I'm going to change that to Amazon. And then to get so that you can actually upload a photo, so you're going to go to do that from your views. You're going to look in views, in this case Devise registrations, because that's where you go at, right? When you're creating a new one, you're registering your user. So the setup for it is, a lot of it's the same. Let's go ahead and just get rid of all this. Alright, so you're going to, just like it's a column, you're going to label it for what it's for and what field it's going to go to. And instead of like email field or text field or anything like that, you're going to call it file field. Okay, now what we did to the controller, before I forget, this won't become active until you update your route for it. So if you go look at your routes, you've got this Devise for users. What you're going to do is we're going to do this because I like having it this way. And then you're going to tell that you want to use different controllers than what Devise comes with. Right, and you're going to put those in curly brackets, and then so what you're doing is you're telling the routes to use the registrations controller that you set up. Instead of the one built in for Devise. And since you inherited it, Devise into it, it's going to use that and everything the Devise has all at the same time. So if you get all of that done right, you should see, it's actually, anytime you mess with routes or controllers, you should probably reset your server. So we're just going to do that. Cool, so now we can choose a file, right? So let's create something. Let's go with little Sally test. Sally test wants to create a file. So let's just give Sally test a random image. Let's see. No, you don't want to see a picture of me. Let's give him that one. That's cool. Sally's got a sense of humor. Let's sign Sally up. Cool. It looks like she's signed up. Then we have unpermitted parameter avatar. Alright, so we saw unpermitted parameters avatar. So that's either something wrong with our params or something wrong with our routes. So let's take a look. Yeah, look, I misspelled controllers. Cool. Easy enough fix. I'm going to get rid of this session. And like I said, anytime you mess with your routes, you should probably restart your server. User sign up. So let's do Mike at test.com. Let's give Mike an avatar. Just give him that same one. Sign up. Cool. Let's take a look at our server. I don't see any errors, so that looked like it worked. Storage study. There it is. So there's the file that we just uploaded. Right, but so how do we know that? How do we see it without having to go through here? So let's go back into our code. And let's figure out where we might want to see that. So obviously it's going to be in your views, and in this case let's do it in like their edit, since we don't have a show page or anything right now. Excuse me. Yeah, so let's just do it like in the edit page. So if they come to edit their profile, they can see the image that they had. So I'm going to copy and paste this over for my notes, but we'll go over it. Alright, so that's, sorry about this part. Alright, so that's how you call your image, okay? So image tag, URL for, and then whatever you want to use here, current user. If you're using it in an area that has access to like @user or app, whatever you want to use, dot whatever it is that you named it in your model. So again, just treat it like as a column. So if you were going to call it current user name, you would call it current user dot name. So same thing, like current user dot avatar will get you that avatar. So let's go take a look. Let's go into our edit. Users, edit, boom. So there's your image. You can mess around some CSS because it's going to import and then output these images at the same size that they were uploaded as. So you can mess around with some CSS. We're not going to go into that for this particular study group, but you can mess around with CSS to get some different image sizes on there. So one thing you will run into, I will go ahead and warn you, is this. If you put this on a view that somebody can get to without being logged in, say like your very first page, like your root path, your welcome page, where a user isn't already logged in yet, and you have that there, it's going to throw an error because there isn't a current user, right? So all you have to do is grab some logic. Again, I'm just going to copy paste this from my notes, but we'll go over it. So all we're saying here is if the current user.avatar.attached, and remember this will be important. So if the user has an avatar, then show the avatar. If not, then show like no photo. So you're messing around with some errors, or you just uploaded a photo for a user and you want to see what's going on with them. So the way that you can confirm that is, so we're going to just go user.last. Alright, so that's Mike. Right, so looking at his information, we have no way of knowing that he has an image attached to his file, because like I said, you didn't add anything new to the user column. You're using the active record column. Active record table is sort of like a join. But what you can do is you can call .avatar, so that's the name of the file, so whatever you named it, .photo, .image, .profile photo, whatever, attached with a question mark, and that will show you true, that it's attached. If it isn't, it will say false. And you can even see where it is. So it's got a record ID of type to the user, name, avatar. And that's it. And so you can keep using this tag anywhere that you need to use it to display an image. And like I said, you can do some real simple, like simple quick CSS to get it to show the way you want. Like, I'll just show you a real quick one from my notes here. We'll just go here in the style sheets. We'll just throw this in here. Alright, so let me get rid of this. CSS is beyond the scope of what we're talking about right now, so I'm not going to go over this too much, but this will just change the size of the picture as it's displayed, just to show you that you can do with that. So we can go back in here and we'll call it right. And let's see, I did something wrong. Comma. Oh, I see. Not a problem. Easy enough fix. Don't need that there. We need that here. Alright. Boom. So now it's a different size. And you can just keep reusing that over and over again to get the size you want. Okay, so the next step, or the bonus step, is during the study group whose video corrupted, we were having some problems with it displaying a broken image, and we couldn't figure out what it was. Very shortly after the study group, I figured out that it was because we were using GIFs. And out of the box, Active Storage doesn't handle GIFs very well. So if we wanted to be able to upload a GIF, a moving image, right, we got to add a couple more gems. And I'm going to go ahead and actually show you guys. So we're going to edit this user. So we're going to cancel Mike, and we're going to start Mike over again. And we're going to upload Mike with a GIF, right? So user sign up. Let's go Mike at test.com. Right, we're going to, I got some GIFs in here. So let's make Mike that GIF right there, right? Let's put that in there. Sign him up. Cool, let's go to his edit. Okay, so that's working. So there's some GIFs that works and some that don't. I think it depends on like the file size. But if you want to be able to add like, so you can cover all the different file types and the different file sizes and everything else, all you really need to do is in your gem file, go ahead and add these two gems, Mini Magic and image processing. I'll get those installing and then we'll talk about what they do. Oops, my bad. I said installing and then just typed install. Undefined local variable. Oh, I misspelled it. Yep, right there. Boom. Okay. What that'll do is it will Mini Magic and image processing will let you handle different file types easier. That one GIF worked, but there was other GIFs we were using that weren't working because I think the image size. This will let you handle all that and not have to worry about it. And there's some other cool things. So look at Mini Magic and look at image processing for active storage. It'll let you do a lot of cool things. Like what I had in that CSS before, part of that was having to do with that. So now if we go to this and refresh, it's in sepia tone. So that way you can make sure that you can handle all the different file types and file sizes, and you can do some cool editing with it. But there you go. That's how you set up active storage. That's how you set up active storage specifically to Devise. And that is how you edit your credentials file. So feel free to go back and forth with this video. Feel free to comment or send me messages if you have any questions.